I ate nothing but processed food for 30 days. Coming up. If you want to control what you eat and control your body, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. And if you want to speak with me directly, there is a link below. I ate nothing but processed food for 30 days. Why? I did this for a couple of reasons. I wanted to see, one, if there would be any effect on my health or my well-being or my energy levels, and two, to make a point. I'm always on this channel making a point that you can control what you eat. Even if you don't have good options and you're surrounded by bad options, you can still control what you eat if you're conscious and you're aware of what you're doing. I also wanted to show that eating these foods does not lead to a loss of control, even though sometimes it feels like we're going to lose control if we eat high fat, high sugar foods. I showed that that's not necessarily the case. If you know what you're doing, what you're eating, and how much you need, then you don't have to lose control. So in this video, I want to tell you about my 30-day experiment and what happened. First, I want to say that I felt out of alignment the entire time. When I say out of alignment, I mean I knew I was doing one thing, even though I'm on this channel all the time talking about eating right, controlling what you eat, and eating a diet that is consistent with your health goals. And that's not what I was doing for 30 days. So yes, I confess I am a total hypocrite. Not really. I had intention when I did this. I knew exactly what I was doing and why. I knew that eating a processed food diet wasn't the best idea, but I just wanted to see what would happen if I ate nothing but processed food for 30 days. But it did feel wrong, and I did feel like a little bit of a hypocrite that during that time. I'm sitting there eating cookies and candy and granola when I like to teach people that they should limit those kinds of foods and eat more whole, unprocessed foods as a means of recovery. So I will say that I'm glad that the 30-day experiment is over, that I can return to eating normal food. And that's one thing I want to mention is that towards the end, I really craved normal food. I really wanted some real meals. Now, I should say as a disclaimer that I did have a few meals. I had some social events during that 30-day period, and I couldn't sit there and eat Twinkies and cookies. I actually had to have real food. So yes, I did have some real food, but I minimized it. But it felt really good to eat the foods that I was accustomed to, like the bread and fruit and vegetables and my protein shakes and some frozen meals. Yes, there are some decent frozen meals out there. It was nice to eat real food again. And that's one thing I want to point out is that when you stop eating processed foods and then you go back to eating processed foods, you don't crave it as much as you did. One reason why we eat a lot of processed foods is out of habit. It produces a certain reward, it's convenient, it tastes good, and that's why we keep going back. But one thing that I learned on this diet is that those foods, those processed foods that are really palatable, really tasty, they're only good in certain quantities. Once you control for the quantity, then those foods tend to lose their allure. They're not as exciting anymore. They're only good in larger quantities. For example, chips. I used to love tortilla chips. In fact, I still like tortilla chips. Tortilla chips and guac were one of my favorite snacks. But when I can only eat 10, they just weren't as good as eating 20, 30, 40, the whole bag. I realized that a lot of these foods are deliberately designed to make you consume more because they're only good in those quantities. This is why I like to say that you need to control for quantity before you control for quality. For the longest time, I always tried to control for quality, even though I had no control over quantity. And what I mean is I would adopt a vegan diet, or I would go paleo, or I would do low sugar or no grain, even though I had no control over anything else. So for example, when I did low sugar, I just found other foods that were low in sugar that I could overeat. So was I really healthier? Probably not. What I realized over time is that I needed to be able to control what I eat and control the portions before I could have any control over the quality of my diet. Control quantity before you control quality. Once you recover from binge eating or overeating, you naturally crave whole, real food. The entire time, all I could dream about was everything that I couldn't have. I was always craving the foods that I was used to. I just wanted peanut butter and bread. I wanted to go out to a restaurant. I wanted fruit. I wanted all the stuff that I ate after my eating disorders. I wanted to eat the stuff that I was eating during my recovery, and I couldn't have it. It's like we always want the thing that we can't have, which is how the human brain works sometimes. But my tastes and preferences have changed over time. Whereas I once craved milkshakes and cookies and brownies, now I don't crave that stuff so much anymore. I like it once in a while, but now I can only have it in small quantities, and it's not as good when you have small quantities as when you have large quantities. When you eat indiscriminately and you allow yourself to eat as much as you want and you don't care about portions, like an overeater or a binge eater, then those foods lose their allure. Another thing I learned on this diet is that those foods, like processed foods, they make you want to consume more. Whenever I ate one cookie, I wanted two. And if I had two, I wanted three. I never felt satisfied on this diet. I always felt like I needed more and I wanted more. My stomach was never full. I never reached that point where I felt truly satisfied. Not only did I not feel full, but those foods are very rewarding. And I always wanted to have more, especially cookies that had been sitting in the car and they were melted and gooey. Who stops at one? It was really hard to stop at one, even when I was conscious and aware. I wouldn't say it was a struggle, but there was still that craving inside of me that wanted more. It's like, have another one, have another one. It was hard to stop at one Snickers bar and just say, okay, that's all I'm having. I wanted another one. And that's something that I really want to emphasize, is that processed foods are not designed to satiate you. They're designed to make you eat more. When you have processed foods, you feel like you need more. And they're really rewarding, and they're deliberately designed to make you consume more. Whole unprocessed foods are designed to satiate. Processed foods are designed for entertainment and reward. I want to point out that these processed foods, are really easy to overconsume. They require no preparation. You can eat them anywhere. All you have to do is open the package and away you go. Another thing about them is that they are manufactured in a way to make them easy to consume. The texture is deliberately designed in a way that it crumbles and it disintegrates in your mouth. It literally melts in your mouth sometimes. And as soon as you take that bite, your brain gets that immediate sensation. It feels good to chew, it feels good to swallow, and it only wants you to consume more. I should say, in defense of processed foods, that I always felt like I had energy. I never felt like I was low on energy. I always had the energy to do things I wanted to do. I had energy to go to the gym, energy to do my job, energy to do things that I needed to do during the day. I never felt sluggish or tired. I never got that sugar high. Personally, I think that's a myth. When people eat foods like bagels and potatoes and they say, well, your blood sugar will go really high and then it'll crash. The fact is, it's really hard to have a blood sugar crash unless you're diabetic. If you have a baked potato or you have some processed food, I shouldn't put those two together because one is way more nutritious than the other. But when you eat foods that raise your blood sugar, yes, it raises your blood sugar, but your blood sugar will stabilize over time. Most people don't experience blood sugar crashes. Again, if you're diabetic, you might experience a blood sugar crash because your body mishandles the energy that's coming in. But if you're not diabetic, having a blood sugar crash is actually really rare. The most important nutrient in any diet, whether it's a processed food diet or a whole foods diet, is calories. You absolutely need calories. And on this diet, I certainly did get calories. Once you have enough calories, then it's time to start optimizing your micronutrients and your macronutrients. One thing about a processed food diet is that it's very low in fiber and low in protein. And I think when you take foods and you strip them of the fiber and you strip them of the protein and you maximize the fat and you maximize the simple carbohydrates, then you get a diet that is not only not satisfying, but you get a diet that is really rewarding. If you look at any processed food, almost all of them have low amounts of fiber, low amounts of protein, high levels of fat, and high levels of sugar. Speaking of sugar, although I ate a lot of sugar on this diet, almost everything I ate was high in fat and high in sugar, which is a horrible combination. Very few foods in nature, in fact, I can't think of any, are high in fat and high in sugar. I don't think coconut has that much sugar, it's high in fat, but this is what food manufacturers do. They take out the protein and the fiber, which are two satiating macronutrients. Fiber is not really a macronutrient, but I'll just keep it simple. And they maximize the simple sugars and the fat, which are not satiating at all. And when you combine fat and sugar, it makes it really tasty and really palatable. And it also reduces the satiety level. So you're not feeling as satiated, but you're also getting a higher level of reward, which is a horrible combination. The good news about this 30-day processed food diet is that I didn't gain or lose any weight. I kind of stabilized, which is good, I guess. I should have measured blood sugar. I did not measure that. I should have measured blood sugar before I started and after I started. Something tells me it's not that much different, especially considering all the activity that I do. And I kept the calories constant. When you keep calories constant, your blood sugar more or less stays the same. Some people will disagree with me on that, but really what leads to excess blood sugar levels in the long run is excessive calories. You can overeat anything and you're still going to have high blood sugar, and you're still going to have health consequences. I want to say that as bad as processed food is in terms of nutrition and satiety, no food is inherently evil. I know we like to demonize foods and say that this food is bad, this food is good, this is junk food, and whatever. We have this language that we use, but no one food was the problem. Cookies weren't the problem, candy wasn't the problem, soda wasn't the problem, granola wasn't the problem. I think the problem with the standard American diet is that it's low in fiber, and it's low in micronutrients. These foods are manufactured in a way to keep you coming back and eating more. That to me is the real problem. Not that there is a certain macronutrient that is overemphasized, or that there's too many carbs or too many sugar, although that can be a problem. The problem is low satiety, high reward. Although I didn't gain a lot of weight on this diet, I can see why it's very easy to gain weight on this diet. When you have foods that are convenient to eat, that don't satiate very well, and keep you coming back for more. When you eat a diet of processed food, you never feel satisfied, you want to eat more, and it's convenient and easy to eat this food. Nothing required preparation. I just opened the package and I started to eat. If you eat this stuff without high levels of consciousness, without high levels of awareness, and little knowledge of nutrition, and you don't really care about your weight and your health, I can see why it's easy as hell to gain weight on this kind of diet. The standard American diet has a lot of processed food, and we know that these foods are not designed to satiate, they're designed to keep you eating. And if you eat this stuff habitually over time, you're probably going to gain weight and you're probably going to have health consequences. Another problem with the processed food diet is that there were so many options. Whenever I went to the store, there were new flavors, there were new types of food, and there was always 10 or 20 things that I wanted to try and I just didn't have room for them. Even though I did this for 30 days, I only ate a fraction of the processed food that is available. You could try a new flavor of cereal every week and do that for 10 years and still not try every flavor of cereal. Then there's different flavors of Snickers bars, there's different flavors of Milky Ways, different flavors of Reese's peanut butter cups. This is one thing I want to point out, is that the processed food industry is always creating new and novel types of foods to keep you coming back. People get bored with one flavor, our preferences change over time, and so they always have to find something new, something to entice you, a new label, new packaging, new colors, a new flavor. They have to add M&Ms to the Reese's peanut butter cups. They have to come out with a new flavor of cereal. In fact, I just saw Twinkie cereal the other day, because that's exactly what we need in our diet. We need Twinkie shaped cereal. So when you combine high levels of palatability, low levels of satiation, high levels of convenience, and many options, people are going to consume more. We know that people consume more when they have a lot of different options. They call that the buffet table effect. When you give people 20 different things, they want to try all of it, and they consume a massive volume of food. In conclusion, you should minimize processed foods. I hope I've made that clear. You should probably not do a 30-day processed food fast. That's the opposite of a detox, so I guess it's a tox. I don't know. But you should minimize these foods because they're not going to satiate you. And you're going to find that if you eat small quantities of them, you're not going to feel satisfied and you're only going to want more. And that's the point. While you can maintain your weight and maintain general health on this kind of diet, I don't recommend it. I probably have some micronutrient deficiency at this point. That's why I need to go back to my whole foods diet and start replenishing stores of a lot of those micronutrients. I don't see how I could be healthy on this kind of diet for the long term. Remember, this was only 30 days and I was already a healthy person. But if you take somebody and you put them on this diet for a year, 2 years, 10 years, I can see why they would develop severe health problems over time. Just think about it. Millions of Americans eat this way over many years, and that's why we have high levels of diabetes, coronary artery disease, high triglycerides, high blood pressure, and obesity. I hope you found this video educational and entertaining. Remember, if you want to speak with me because you eat too many processed foods and you don't know how to control it, there is a link in the description box. Click it and you can schedule a call with me. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you liked this video, I'm sure you'll like one of the other videos that you see on the screen. Click one of them, and I'll see you there.